Hey, this is Gatorex, and welcome to Spooktober, the annual event where for the month of October I make spooky Halloween themed videos across all of my channels. And for today, I decided to start off simple by counting down my top 5 favorite ghost type Pokemon. Keep in mind that this will all be my opinion, and you can stick around to find out how you can submit your own videos and ideas for Spooktober. Anyway, let's start off the list with number 5, Cofagrigus. Generation 5 introduced a lot of brand new Pokemon, and I think that Cofagrigus is one of the neat ones that they introduced. Of course, you know, this was a pretty controversial generation introducing Pokemon that were different from the norm, or at least according to the popular consensus, but Cofagrigus I think is a great change because we've never really gotten a coffin Pokemon, and this is sort of the way that we end up getting a mummy Pokemon, which we had only seen in Duskull before, but I don't think it was taken to the fullest extent that it could have been. Now, Cofagrigus is a neat Pokemon, being extremely defensive, and that's what makes it fun, because defensive Pokemon mean troll sets. My first introduction to this Pokemon was actually me getting trolled by someone who battled me. For the most part, I knew about its design before I bought Pokemon White version, and I knew that this was one of the cool Pokemon that I wanted to try out, and once I was able to get my hands on one, which was actually pretty easy, I was able to have some fun with it. Again, just one of my favorite Pokemon out of the entire 5th generation as well, and one of my favorite ghost type Pokemon. I really love the whole ancient Egyptian theme to it, which of course fits it being a sarcophagus, and I really do hope that we get more Pokemon along these same lines. Number 4, Trevenant. With Pokemon X and Y coming out in early October, it made perfect sense to have some pretty spooky looking Pokemon introduced. We did get some cool new Ghost Grass type Pokemon that were counterparts of each other, and the first of them being Phantump and Trevenant. Trevenant specifically I think is really neat. Around this time we were getting the hidden abilities, and Trevenant had a really great one in Harvester. Again, it being a relatively defensive based Pokemon that could continue to sustain itself, along with access to the brand new move Hornleech. It wasn't as trolly as Cofagrigus was, but it was definitely a fun Pokemon. I think the idea of a haunted tree is really neat. Of course, it's something that you kind of see in various fiction as it's just really easy, but I think that it's a great way to introduce it into Pokemon with Trevenant. I mean, it does look a little creepy and not necessarily along the lines of what you'd think a Pokemon would be, but that's what I think is really great about it. It goes full into this scary tree aesthetic. Number 3, Pumpkaboo. And yes, now we get to the other half of this Generation 6 Grass Ghost duo that was introduced. Now, I do like Gourgeist, and it's pretty cool, and it has a neat Pokedex entry that brings in the scary, creepy stuff, but I personally like Pumpkaboo better. Now, Gourgeist, again, does have this neat looking design, but Pumpkaboo does keep the orangish pumpkin, but it has kind of the black top to it that gives it sort of a bat feeling as well. With Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, I also think it's pretty neat that you're able to have different sizes of each of them, and they can do some different things. Personally, I just really think Pumpkaboo is a cute Pokemon, and I really need to get my hands on a Pumpkaboo plush because it's just so Halloween-y, and it definitely fits it well being a jack-o'-lantern, and that's the cool part because it also does get access to an exclusive move, Trick or Treat. Now, I wish that was a better move competitively, but it's a neat little gimmick that is something really cool, and it's just great getting these cool themed Pokemon that have their own exclusive moves to them, and I really do hope we get more Halloween-esque Pokemon, hopefully in Generation 8. But for now, Pumpkaboo is the embodiment of Halloween in the Pokemon universe. Number 2, Sableye. Now, I've liked Sableye ever since I first saw it in Generation 3, and I really wanted to figure out how to catch one, but I never could as a kid. Thankfully, later on, I did end up getting one, and by then, it had its great hidden ability, Prankster, which makes it one of the greatest Ghost-type Pokemon, just being able to have great priority. Leading into Generation 6 in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where Sableye actually gets its Mega Evolution, I think that is so much better. Again, it's a very defensive, trolly Pokemon, and I was able to get a lot of laughs with that and a bunch of wins with it. Definitely one of my favorite Pokemon to use in Generation 6. It was basically my mascot on my last channel, and it still sort of is, so it definitely has a special place in my heart because I also like that it's not necessarily fully a ghost type. It takes a little more influence from its dark type. It does also take some design influence from the Hopkinsville Goblin, and I just think that's really cool. And I do think it was really cool that before Generation 6, it was one of the 3 Pokemon that naturally had no weakness. Of course, that was all changed with fairy types, but yeah, we'll deal with those later. Number 1, Chandelure. Now Chandelure is another neat Pokemon from Generation 5, and it being basically, a haunted chandelier, I think that's amazing. A lot of people will criticize Generation 5, and we won't get into that discussion now, but sadly Chandelure is one of the Pokemon that they bring up. But no, I feel like this is one of the greatest uses of an object Pokemon. It is really neat, also taking some influence from the Will-O-Wisp legends throughout most of its evolution line, but now getting to Chandelure, I think it's really neat. It does have some great stats, some really high special attack, and during Generation 5, I used this so much more so than Cofagrigus before, mostly because it can just hit really hard in terms of being a special attacker. The design of it is really neat as well. I love the purple flames all around it. I actually really dislike it shiny because the red flames are just boring because you see those all the time. But Chandelure really just encapsulates the feeling of cool ghost type Pokemon that were introduced in Generation 5 and 6. But anyway, let me know what you think. What are your favorite ghost type Pokemon? Leave a comment below and we'll continue the discussion down there. Again, since this is Spooktober, I'll be making spooky Halloween themed videos mostly on this channel. I explain it a little deeper in this video right here, but effectively just leave any comment on anything that you'd like me to talk about for the entire month of October. You can go ahead and hop in the Discord server, which is linked below, and you could submit your own videos that you happen to make. And as I gain some videos in the Spooktober fan submitted playlist, I'll go ahead and advertise that more so at the end of my videos. That'll be more in the later half of the month as we get some more submissions. Also, I'll probably end up making at least one Halloween themed video over on GatorX Plays where I do more general Nintendo reviews. Hopefully I'll be getting around to Mario Party next week because that came out recently. It would mean so much if you could also support that channel as well. If you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out and will make you a member of the spooky Chingling squad if that's a thing. Anyway, this has been GatorX. Have a nice day.